Good evening, morning, afternoon, freaks and geeks. This is Reluge, and welcome to reviewing all Skylanders. Now, this is the third video in my rating all series. Digimon was supposed to be my second. I'm still working on that, and I'm added another game to it too, and then of course, with having Survive and Next Order been released, and I don't want to be spoiled on those yet, so it's going to take me a while to do that, so I might as well just plow forward with all of the planned series. And before I get into it, let me know what you would like to see, like Monster Tamer game franchise. And yes, I'm considering Skylanders to be a Monster Tamer. So, without further ado, and in regards of a possible remake coming soon, let's jump into it. Now, when I first learned about Skylanders, it was more of a meh idea. I knew it's like you use the figures as like characters, and I thought that was a pretty interesting idea. But then I actually bought the game and one other Skylander. So we had like a total of 4, and that was for like 3 kids and 1 adult playing. But then I let the kids play first. They had a ball with it. They thoroughly enjoyed it. And then got to my turn to play. I loaded up my own save file, and then I put Drill Sergeant down. And he still had the upgrades and the levels that the kids had earned him. And that's when I knew that the figure scans was going to be the next level of gameplay, or at least a fad for a while. Which, out of all the figure scans that I personally have done, I feel like Skylanders is what really brought forward what that genre of gameplay would be like. You'd able to take your Skylanders to the next game with all their upgrades and whatnot. And that actually was a really, really cool and awesome idea. Disney Infinity and even the Amiibos didn't really capitalize on that. And I'll explain that in different videos. So, Skylanders, Spyro's Adventure. And of course they had to tack Spyro on there, but I think it was a good choice because they made all their like dragons, and I think that was a pretty cool idea. So anyway, I kind of had a thought. I think it was like, yeah, it definitely was during Trap Team that like I realized that each Skylander had their own type of attacks. Like it was mainly like weapons that they used. At that point, it's like I had all the types from Imaginators, but I also had Charge and Natural. Now, what Natural was supposed to be was like they would use their own like pretty much body to attack with. Like majority of the dragons, they used breath weapons, so they would have been natural. But Oh, and I don't think I had Sentinel as a class. I think that I was just using that as a normal, like, sword user. So anyway, the thing is, I'm going to be identifying all the Skylanders as if they were in Imaginators. I was thinking of doing the same with the Swap Force, like, travel powers, but majority of the Skylanders would have a walking travel power. So, and to clarify, I ganked these symbols from a DeviantArt user, Dash Twister Storm. At the time that I downloaded them, I did not realize that it was, like, from someone's actual thing, so I apologize for that. But I liked how he did them, and so I created a charge class and a dragon class. Those are horns. So, and that's why I use the word gank. And I'm so sorry, Dash Twister Storm. If you actually don't want me using them, let me know. And I'll find a way to replace them. But continuing on with more props to Dash Twister Storm. Another thing I'm doing is, just like with Pokemon, I've made symbols for each generation. As you can see, it's like I got Spiral's face for Spiral's Adventure, G for Giants, and the little swap symbol for Swap Force. I got the crystal for the Trap Team, engine for Superchargers, and Imaginators is a Imaginator crystal. I keep thinking I'm missing. For some reason, I keep not counting one of them, even though I've already... Anyway. So, back then they only had 8 elements. Which was good, because, like, the level designs were, there was, like, sections. And each section you were looking for a part of the... I forgot what they called it. The light core? Core of light? Something like that. But pretty much you had to gather an item from each element, put it together, and that was supposed to help you defeat chaos. And I really, really liked the whole structure of that game. It's like the levels, the design, the characters, the ability to save your progress on the figures. All of that was what made that game extremely successful. And also having Invader Zim as the voice of Chaos probably helped quite a bit too. At the time that this was released, they did not expect it to be so popular. They had a game plan of, like, slowly releasing the characters. Like, for instance, like, Whamshell and I think it was Zap was not released right away. They were, like, close to the end of the year period. So, it's like everybody was trying to, like, find those characters. And I remember it's like Toys R Us, when they got a shipment in, they only allowed 2 per people because it became so insanely popular. By the time I got to it, they only had like a few characters there. And Robot was one of them. The others were ones I already had. And then they released these adventure packs that opened up new levels for you to play. They also included an item that helped you through the game. And it was spectacular. It was an experience. And by the time they did the second game, they had a better idea of their popularity, so they had produced a little bit more than what they did before. So, Skylanders Giants. The best way that I could describe this game, it was an expansion at best. As you can see, and at a warning, this is going to get very busy very quickly. In fact, some can argue that it already is busy. But, what they did, they introduced 2 new types of Skylander figures. The titular giants, which were bigger than the normal Skylanders, and in the game, they had a little bit more power, and there were certain obstacles that only giants could get through, like stomping through like certain floors to access secrets, being able to like whip a chain around and pull a island to them, just like stuff like that normal Skylanders wouldn't be able to do. And I really love that idea to an extent. Because the giants actually cost a little bit more than the normal Skylanders. But then also, they added light cores. So, oh my. Some of them were dumb. Like Drobot, he had like a little light on his back that glowed. Chill just vaguely glowed. There's also something on Jetpack that glowed. The most interesting character I would have to say was a Raptor, because his, like, the character is sitting there with his mouth open, and you put it close to the portal and it would start lighting up and it would look like lava. And also Prison Break was pretty cool too. So anyway, the thing is, my main problem with the light cores, besides some of them being ridiculous, they had 2 characters. You had your Series 2 Prison Break, and then your Light Core Prison Break. What's the difference, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. The Light Core 1 lit up, and the Series 2 had a special move that the Light Core doesn't earn. That's it. Oh, and the light core was a couple bucks more because they were light up. What I think they should have done is, like, for instance, with Prison Break, just drop the normal Prison Break, have the light core Prison Break, and have him learn the new move. They had, like, Pop Fizz, the new characters. They had his potion light up. But, just like with dropping Prison Break, they could just drop the normal Pop Fizz and just have Pop Fizz be light core. The main reason why I suggest that is because, for one, they brought back every single Skylander except they dropped one from each element. Magic, it was Voodooed. Fire, it was Sunburn. Tech, it was Boomer. Water, it was, it was Whamshell. For ground, it was Dino Ring. For grass, it was, Camo. For air, it was Warnado, and for undead, it was, Skull Roaster. And which, I kind of figured they were going to do that when I learned that they were cycling in some old Skylanders, but cycling out some old Skylanders, cycling in some new. But, I was not expecting that they would be dropping just one from each element, introducing a new giant in each element, a new normal, like a core type in each element, and a light core being like a second release of a character that's in this game for each element. So that was a total of 6 Skylanders per element, with 2 in each element being the same thing. And these cost like $10, $11 at minimum, and I believe the Giants went for like 16. And then not to mention they continued the trend of doing the adventure packs, and then certain Skylanders like Sprocket were only available in a 3-pack. And then they also introduced a 2-pack with a big weapon. And it seems like, hey, we made a lot of money off of the first game. How can we make more? Like Jim Sterling keeps saying, they don't want a lot of money. They want all the money. And I think that rings true here. So with the Giants being, having things to do in the levels, later on, all they really were just bigger Skylanders. Because with third game, Swap Force, they don't have any Giants. They have the Swap Force characters now, which is actually a pretty cool thing. Hold on. What's so funny, I just realized. Back in the day, I did, vlogs about Pokemon and Skylanders, and then I was like, nah, I'm gonna stop doing this because it's not really that interesting, and here I am again. Talking about these, franchises. Because I love Monster Tamers. Alright, that was a bust. I was hoping I'd have, like a couple, swap forces out, but they're all packed away currently. Because I have too many Skylanders. Not to flex, but to flex, I have all the Skylanders from the first 3 games. Most from number 4, 5, and 6. So anyway, so they continued the idea of like the giant, where their special was a little bit bigger than their normal Skylanders, but this time you can remove their tops and connect it to another Skylander's bottom. That sounds weird. Yeah, you ever noticed there was no female swap force? That's weird. It's almost like they're transphobic. Anyway, that's a joke. Please don't read into that. Anyway, so they've introduced one more special Skylander. They kept in the friggin' light cores, but this time they changed it up a bit, because sometimes they would have like 2 of the same character, especially when that character's new. But then, like, with a returning character, it was just the light core. Why didn't you guys do that for the others? But I did like, though, that they had more new characters. In fact, they had 2 returning characters and 2 new ones. In some cases, it's 3 because light core. And I actually liked that system. I just wish that all the light cores were old characters, instead of having 2 versions of the new characters. I think that's what really brought down the hype to buy the characters, because for one, it's like you had the characters from the first game, and yes, in the third game they have a different power as well, but it's like whoop-de-doo. So I think, and also at this point they were selling the first 2 games, like all the characters from the first 2 games, alongside Swap Force. So it's like the game stores were starting at this point to get overwhelmed with figures on the shelves. And then also around this time there was Disney Infinity. I believe Amiibo came out around this time too. Other small things were trying to get into the figure craze. So it's like these game stores and these toy stores, their shelves are just being filled with a whole bunch of figures that at this point, not as many people were buying, because the people that were buying like for the first and the second game, aside from like the huge collectors and the people that actually played the game, when they get to the third one, they're like, I already have these guys. Why do I need like a third or a fourth one? So it's like the craze of you gotta buy them died out because you already bought them. Which is why it says like the light core should have only have been old Skylanders. It's like, especially like they re-released Ramshell as a light core. That was awesome. It's like, oh, he's back and he's got a light core. This is cool. And he's in like a very sweet pose, and it was pretty cool. I was stoked that he was back. Although one thing I would like to have seen was some of the old Skylanders as a swap force. Like, you would re-release them and they would have the same thing. In fact, I created a mock-up of what it would be like. Because it wouldn't be like all the old Skylanders returning. It would be the ones that could. Like, for instance, look at Bouncer. That isn't exactly swappable, like interchangeable. And it's like Lightning Rod. The idea was pretty cool. You'd have like the cloud being his feet, and then like the top would be like his human part. But then if you look down here, how I did Ninrod, I couldn't resist that. It looks goofy. I couldn't figure a way to make that not look bad. But with Scorp being on top of Skyrise, you could not make that not sound dirty. That actually looks natural. Same thing with like Sky Genie and Lightning Scaler. Oh, also,
you've got mail.
With the characters that had one name, like Scorp and Bouncer, I added a second word there. Like Scorp would be Scorp Scaler because he's climbing the wall. Spring Bouncer because it's more focusing on a spring. And yeah, I made Punk Shot a digging type because I couldn't find any characters that dug with their feet. I know there's like characters like Terrafin, but they dug with their claws. So what I did with Punk Shot, she would burrow herself in the ground with her tail. And she would be waiting there, waiting for like someone to come by. Then she would jump up and like shoot them and then fall back into her hole. I thought that would have been neat. So anyway. And of course with like the classes, when you swap them, of course the top one would have the class and the bottom would have the travel power. And that would be like really, really, really cool, and I like that idea. And it would be awesome if like in the next installment, instead of like actually being able to swap them, it's like when you create your Skylanders, the legs you give them determines what travel power they'll have. And I think that would be a really, really cool idea. So, Trap Team. It's like after, holy crap. I might just consider this being the trilogy curse. Because I just realized with Pokemon, I almost quit playing Pokemon at the 3rd gen. And for Skylanders, if they continued with the ridiculousness of like the releasing like 2 light cores and all this other junk, then I was honestly willing to just stop playing Skylanders. But when they introduced Trap Team, it really excited me, especially like they had like the traps, put in, you like trap the enemies and then use them later, and then it's like, oh, there's chaos that you can capture. And by the way, I think Blastermine is Chaos's brother. I don't know. And then it's like their characters, yeah, they look like the Giants again. But it's like their weapons are made out of Traptanium. And if you take a look at their weapons, you'll see why I say that this is what kind of inspired me to give a class to each of the other Skylanders. And I also liked that they only brought back one core for each element. However, they also made the minis playable. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say the minis, the first two gens did a little event in Frito bags where you could win a set of the minis. Like the first game had a mini Trigger Happy, Gilgrunt, I think Stealth Elf, and Terabyte. And they would just act like little pets just running around next to you. And then Giants had mini Ninjini, Thumpback, T-Rex, and Igor. But then in Swap Force, they didn't have any minis. I was a little disappointed because I was hoping to have the swap people be minis, but not swappable, because that would be a little much. But what they did is they had a contest where you can enter to win the glow-in-the-dark Rattlesnake, or Snake Rattle, whatever his name was, I can't remember. And I actually won that, and I thought that was cool. And then they sold them in stores. Anyway, I like the fact that they had 2 new characters each element, include on top of the Trap Forces, but then the minis. I was like, oh cool, they're playable characters now, but that made it a lot to buy. But then I ran into something, and I really wish I was able to record it at this time. But I ran into a mystery gate. This gate is unlockable by a trap master of an unknown element. I'm like, what? They have light and dark in here now? I was like, it's either light and dark or it's electric. And either would be amazing. And then sure enough, they started releasing the light and dark characters. Which sadly, there was only 2 in each element. But what else can you do? So, oh, and also they had a thing where you get to name 3 of the characters, and there were ones that were question mark on the poster, mainly because they didn't know the names at that point, but it was Flipwreck, which it makes sense. I like that. I wanted Captain Narl, but anyway, High Five, which I don't know why people named it that, because originally it didn't have a 5 on its helmet. And then Batspin. I can't remember the name I submitted for Batspin. Hello?
Hi, this call is from U.S. Customs and Border Protection under the surveillance of Homeland Security. The reason behind this call is to inform you that a package has been seized and confiscated, which is under your name by U.S. A legal course of action. Red flag.
I'm just now getting a scam call. They say that our package has been seized. And they just hung up. I'm sorry, but I didn't have any packages in my name, let alone that would be seized to the point where the FBI wants me to press 1 to talk to an available officer. Totally not pressing 1. Anyway, but my daughter had created a really good name for Batspin. I can't remember it right now. I think the name I spent for High Five was Zip. Because it's like, all I could think of was like Zipper from Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I don't know. So, but they released a lot of cool characters in this one. It's like Double Trouble, or not Double Trouble, that was the first game. Shit, what's your name again? I can't remember her name. She was cool. I like Chopper. Frino was cool from the first one, from Swap Force, by the way. But then Torch was pretty freaking cool. Treadmill, I can't remember. The Echo, which we don't have. That's like the only one from this gen we don't have. And even like a lot of their trapped members were pretty freaking cool too, especially him. And I'm kind of glad that the core for Light and Dark are dragons. Oh yeah, I don't have him either. Or is it a her? I don't want to assume that it's a her, but I don't have the Light Dragon either. So that's 2 I don't have? Yes? Oh, and I think Gil Grunt, but that's because I refuse to buy another Gil Grunt. But I actually thinking of picking him up because he's like cents. It's like you pay more for the postage than you pay for the figure. So yeah. Oh, and I have a bunch of trap crystals. I was going to be buying one for each, like, element. For, like, each villain that you can trap. Not each, like, shape. But it turns out, like, especially in the Light and the Dark, finding those are insanely difficult. So, yeah. I almost have one for every single villain, though. Superchargers. I actually liked the roster on Superchargers. Now, here's the main reason why. There wasn't that many. They brought back one new person with a completely new set of moves, and a vehicle for them, and one new character and a vehicle for them. I loved that. Oh, that was a breath of fresh air. And they actually made quite a bit of money on this set from what I've noticed. And in this one, each vehicle had like either sea, air, or land, with land being the only one that you absolutely needed to play. However, they had the hot rod there for you. This one, Spitfire's hot rod. So you were able to like play the missions and whatnot that needed the land vehicle. But if you had the Skylander and the Skylander's vehicle, they would become supercharged, which is what I have in like behind each character. It's like their supercharged version. Not in-game, though. I couldn't really find good screenshots of that, but I had to pull it from their little sticker card. Well, that's fine. Oh, and another cool thing is that they made it so you can customize the vehicles. Not only on their looks, but their stats as well. And that was pretty cool. And every single character here, I guess including Gil Grunt, was actually a pretty cool character to play as. And seriously speaking, though, I think Trigger Happy should have been their cover mascot for the whole game series instead of Spyro. But, you know, they had to have a familiar character. But if you notice, there's not a single dragon here. Which made me sad, because I was hoping to have, like, a light and a dark character returning. But they could have taken, like, the Trap Team members, shrunk them down to, like, normal Skylander size, and gave them a different weapon. I mean, why not? And I loved the vehicle segments, just like in Swap Force, with, like, the different, like, travel power mini games. The racetracks, and I'm not a big racer, was fun and enjoyable, especially the final boss. That was a lot of fun, and I loved playing this game. In fact, until Imaginators, this had to be the best one. Speaking of which... Oh, before speaking of which, I mean... for the Nintendo Wii U, they had Bowser and Donkey Kong as playable Skylanders. And I really don't think you'll be able to see well. But both of them had a Amiibo / Skylander swap. It's like 2 different save datas. One is Skylanders, and then one is Amiibo. So we currently have a Dark DK Smash Brothers character on that Amiibo. In fact, I did a video with him in it. But what else I did here, I figured these characters would have been a really sweet, like, imaginate, like a supercharger. I was going to draw out, like, concepts for their vehicles, but I ran into a lot of, like, writer's block for that. I think I might do a video later, but Frino pretty much would lose his power, his, like, attacks that, like, he's on his motorcycle and he charges forward, because his motorcycle would become his vehicle. He would get different attacks that has something to do with fire and rage and whatnot. Sprocket would still have, like, her turrets that she can build, but her vehicle would be the tank that she was able to make, and I think it was Giants. Dino Ring. Oh, shoot, what was I gonna give him? I think he was the one that I had a artist block on, because I didn't want to give him, like, another land vehicle. I wanted to give him a sea vehicle, and it was going to be dinosaur themed. I think it was supposed to look like a plesiosaur, but I couldn't think of it. Probably like a plesiosaur submarine. But Flipwreck would have a good old-fashioned pirate ship that, yeah, can strangely submerge. Fright Rider, he would still have his little undead chocobo, but that would have different attacks. However, his land vehicle would be an enormous skeletal bird that he rides on as a car. That would be freaking amazing. Starcast would have... I was thinking an old school biplane type thing. And I was thinking the fans, the wings would be the same design as her fans or something. Kaboom, I think is his name, would have a stealth bomber as his plane. And Boomjet would have pretty much his jet that he's riding, but as a flying vehicle of some form. It wouldn't be encasing him, it would be one of those McDonald riding toys. So that was my thoughts on what they could have done. I still would like to see the Byard ship as a playable vehicle. That would have been sweet. So anyway, now on to the Imaginators, because this is their best game in my opinion. Why? Because of the Imaginators. You may notice that there's some weird-looking Skylanders on the screen right now. But that's because those are the ones I made in the game. I know it's quite busy, but I put my Imaginators in the middle. And Chaos. This is supposed to be a headless horseman. That's a little nub. I didn't want to color it red because that'd be a bit gory. Blue, I don't know. I was also thinking white as a bone. Maybe I'll do that. But yeah, he's the headless horseman. And I know he's supposed to have an axe or something, but I don't have one of the axes yet, so and I don't have a life or wind, and personally that's fine. I only needed 8. Yeah. Originally I had 7, but then my son was like, yeah, I know I have another I have a life imaginary running around somewhere, so I don't really care about the blue one because he's or the water one because he's almost the same thing that he did with the life one for some reason. So he's like, so yeah, Dad, you can just take him over. So I was also interested that they brought back villains as senseis. You can see the video where I did my thoughts about the best 10 villains to bring back, and they actually did a couple. But they swapped things around strangely. Bad Vuju, or was it Juju? Anyway, they made her a ninja. They made Blastron being a swordsman, it was just like they just gave him a different weapon. So that I didn't mind. But making the Chompy Mage into a bazooka class instead of making him a mage did not make any sense to me. Doing Wolfgang as an archer actually kind of makes sense. He turned his guitar into a bow, so that was kind of cool. But then, okay, Google, what is Crash Bandicoot's nemesis?
On the website fandom.com, they say, Neocortex, also known as Doctor. Do you want a little more context?
No.
Okay.
But making Neocortex into a sorcerer didn't really make any sense to me. I mean, they have Dr. Cranecase as a quick shot. So, I think what they could have done, they could have easily changed Crankcase. They could have made him a knight, made Blastertron Bazooka. No! Screw that. Keep Blastertron, I think, as the knight. Make Crankcase the bazooka type, because it just makes sense. He would have a huge bazooka. Make Chompy Mage the sorcerer, and then turn Crankcase into, or Neocortex into the quick shot, and boom, it would all make sense. I'm missing quite a bit of these characters, though, mainly because at the time that I was still playing this was around the time I moved. And if you didn't notice, the whole series on my channel just stopped. That's because I actually stepped up as an actual father instead of spending all my time on the computer doing YouTube stuff. It was a good decision. So, I'm pretty much overcome my depression, but that's for a different video. So, again, just a little disappointed on the lack of light and dark Skylanders. But then again, they had one extra tech and one extra life because of the Bandicoot characters, so have it what you will. And I just loved them making the Skylanders. That was the best idea they made. And it made them a lot of money, apparently. So I hope that the next new game, they'll continue the Imaginators, just add on to it. Like, have a little bit better customization. Like, I always... And I'm sorry, like, I notice a lot of the videos, I'm like, oh, like, I'm guilty. That's because I slouch, I have bad posture. Sorry. Especially when I get relaxed. Anyway, I always like use City of Heroes as an example for custom characters because that still has the best customization. Rivaled by The Sims. Because I like the precise control you have in Sims 4 with like the entire body instead of just the face. I like that. Anyway, so having like a little bit more controls, like the more scaling of like the parts, more detailed choices, better color palettes. I mean, I think if they just focus the new game on mainly doing the Imaginators, I think that would become a really, really good game. I still say Skylanders would make a good online game with that. Like, the core game would come with like 2 crystals, aka 2 save slots. And then you'd spend like, instead of like spending $10 on, I keep saying this, instead of spending $10 on something imaginary, Bitcoin, and having something that is only on that one game that you can't transfer to another. Like, for instance, with the remake, I know they said that they plan on making it so, like, all the Skylanders are included in the game, but I'm hoping you can use your figures still. You just don't have to. Because it would be cool, like, loading up your figures. It's like, I'm already max leveled. Screw you, game. I've got money. I'm sorry. I don't know why I cracked myself up with that. Anyway. So. And also, it'd be cool if you could use your Imaginators. That would be awesome. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at, please continue with the Imaginators, even if that's the only focus. And I think your fans will thank you for it, too. And also keeping the ability to use your old Skylanders as well. I mean, that was the appeal of the game. Just being able to use your old ones. I just noticed that, I forgot what his name was, like Chain something, Chain Break, Chainsaw, I can't remember, but it looks like he's about to cut her in half. Or actually, that's an it, because it's supposed to just be a brain. But I haven't gotten that yet, so for now it's a ragdoll. Alright. Enough of rambling on, because I have ideas and thoughts. Okay? So, this next game I would call Skylanders Flashback. Mainly because the levels would be designed like Spiral's Adventure, where you'd have the different like element themed sections that you can play as, or you play in. It would have, in fact, let's go by it one by one, actually. Because, for one, as you can see in the middle, a new type. I really think electric should be a typing. Also, it's like the new Skylanders would be, of course, the Skylanders I made in the Imaginators and the Skylander Creator. And yeah, they would have the whole class system. And by the way, I wanted him to be a dragon, but I couldn't get him to like be down on the ground, like crouching, because I was thinking more of like, instead of like the other dragons where they're like on all fours, he would be like he would be walking with all fours, but he would still be able to use his front paws as like hands. And yeah, he's a dragon made out of plants. So sue me. Also, Slick is my air type that I didn't make in Imaginators. Her weapon, it would be more of like fan blades, more or less, but they don't have that as a weapon. But she would like put it in front of her and spin it. And you can choose to have the power either blow the enemies away while doing damage to them, or sucking them in and just continuously hitting them with the blades. But of course, that has its own drawback, because you're pulling enemies in. They have a better chance of attacking you at close range. So, and the Electric, she is a doll that has been animated by a jolt of electricity. And she has a bazooka that looks like it has a smiley face. Hi! And she shoots like lightning out of the cannon, like huge lightning bolts. So, and of course, with like being flashback, there would be a section for returning Skylanders. If you notice, I made Lightning Rod a electric type, and that's the only difference I made on this line here. But yeah, of course, they each would have their own layer, like new... Oh, Deja Vu, that's her name. They each would have their new, like, move sets. And then another section would be the dragons. Because I like that each element had their own dragon. So I brought back... Well, of course... I figured Spyro would have to be the one in the magic, because I think he's the only magic dragon. Puff the magic dragon should be in this game. Why, you may ask? Well, I don't know. Probably because I like to sing this song. I'll stop, I'm sorry. So, yeah, I got, Blades, High Five, Mail. Zap. Of course, bring back Cinder. I loved Glitter Wings. Echo needs more screen time. Drobot needs another chance. And of course, the Dark and Light Dragons, because Dark and Light Dragons. And then also, I figured another thing that they could do is bring back some of the special Skylanders. Now, what would happen here? It'd be like they lost their powers that made them, like, them in the previous games. Like, the giants somehow wouldn't be giant anymore. Swap forces can't swap. The trap team would have normal weapons. Of course, Ember there wouldn't be a sensei. And they would just be like normal Skylanders, but have pretty much their same attacks that they had. Also, if you notice, I think his name was Nightshade? But I made him a dark type instead of undead, because he was actually more like a dark than undead. In fact, I don't think he had any kind of powers that had anything to do with the dead. You can argue the same with Igor, but screw you. I'll lie him in here too. And what about the 5th section, you may be asking? Why is that a whole bunch of Imaginator crystals? Well, I'll tell you. That's for you to decide. Yeah, I know. I had still a average of 5 viewers per video. I thought there was a cat. Oh, there was a cat up there. Hi, bunny. What I want to do, even though I'm still a small YouTuber, I want to run a Skylander contest. At this point, there's no end date, because I doubt I'm even getting one submission for this. But I want it anyway. I want it to be there. I want it to be open. Flex your creativity and make a Skylander for one of the elements. If you want to make one for each, go for it. I will be choosing the best / my favorite ones, because I don't want to be like, ew, this looks like scribbles. As long as I can tell what it's supposed to be, and if the character's fleshed out, kind of a little bit of a backstory, if there's a certain thing with my doll, the reason why it looks like a doll, she got animated by lightning or electricity, so stuff like that. It's why the Skylander is like this.
You've got mail.
Ignore the fact that I have 3 people in a row that has the ridiculous helmet thing on. It looks natural on him, but not those 2. It's the best helmet I have at the time. Anyway, and explain their attacks and their powers. As for vehicles, I don't think, this would not be viable for vehicles. I think that should just be a one-off type thing, because then you'd be creating vehicles for every single Skylander you make it forever. So anyway, and of course put down what element, what attack, what class they are. If you think your Skylander would logically fall under a completely different class, go for it. A class that's not mentioned here, go for it. I encourage it, actually. So, don't really need to worry about travel power, but I think that would be a nifty idea. Like I said before, the only reason why I'm not doing it is because majority of these guys would be having the walking, traveling powers. So, unless really want me to, we could do flight, walking, and vehicle as 3 different vehicle type or travel powers. So, I guess that's it. Oh, go ahead, submit them either via, tweet me on Twitter, link in the description. You can go on to my Discord. I plan on having a Skylanders section. It would be like Skylanders, like OC or creation contest or something like that. But the link to my Discord's in the description as well. You can comment. Can you comment pictures? Or at least if you have the picture up on the TV art or whatever, link that. Keep it PG. Not even PG-13. Just keep it PG. Pretty much, if it looks like it would be a Skylander, it'll work. I just don't want smut on here. And also, only link me to sites like DeviantArt. Would I trust you linking to Tumblr? I don't think so. But if you link a really weird site that I don't know, I'm not clicking on the link. It's just, there you go. So, I guess that will be it now. Subscribe if you'd like to see more stuff that I do. I plan on doing more review all series. I got a lot planned. I already mentioned that I'm working on Digimon, but also I got Monster Rancher in the works and some others. So if you'd like to see those, you can subscribe so you know when I upload it. There's no set date when they're going to get uploaded. They're just, or order anymore. Because this was supposed, technically it is the 3rd video, but this was supposed to be the 3rd series I did, and then Summoner's War after this. But then I found Summoner's War to be insanely simple to put together. I think it might be simpler than some other ones I planned on doing. Anyway, click on whichever thumb you think is appropriate for this video, and until next time, stay creative.